Echoes of tomorrow. The rain had never stopped that October, and as it drummed relentlessly against the cold glass of his lab window, Dr. Emil Clarkson thought it a fitting backdrop to his revolutionary creation, the Temporal Echo Chamber. It wasn't much to look at: a mesh of wires, a humming generator, and an old leather chair placed squarely in the center of a metallic ring. But its purpose transcended its plain appearance. It was designed to hear the future. As Emil stared at the seemingly innocuous arrangement of his temporal echo chamber, he envisioned a world transformed by foresight. With the capability to hear the future, the applications were boundless. He imagined doctors forewarned about outbreaks, preemptively containing diseases before they could become pandemics. Emergency services could be dispatched even before disaster struck, saving countless lives in scenarios of natural calamities or accidents. His invention, he believed, would herald an era where humanity could finally outpace its own misfortunes, where the tapestry of fate itself could be altered for the greater good. Beyond the immediate applications in safety and health, Emil saw his invention as a beacon for progress in numerous other fields. Economists could predict market shifts and avert financial crises, environmentalists could detect ecological disasters before they unfolded, and governments could seamlessly plan for urban development, optimizing resources in a manner previously deemed impossible. The very fabric of societal planning and response could be rewoven, creating a more resilient, informed, and proactive civilization. The future, once a murky and uncertain horizon, could now be charted with precision and confidence, steering the global community away from the shoals of catastrophe. However, Emil also dreamt of the cultural and philosophical impacts of his creation. By hearing the future, humanity could confront its existential dread with newfound courage and insight. Philosophers and theologians might find in the echoes of the future a new domain for discourse, pondering the implications of predestination and free will in a world where tomorrow's whispers could be heard today. It was a tool that could not only save lives but potentially elevate the human condition to unprecedented levels of enlightenment and understanding. Emil's heart swelled with the hope that his machine, this gateway to tomorrow, would ultimately serve as humanity's compass, guiding it through the uncharted waters of destiny with foresight and clarity. The unveiling was a modest affair. A handful of journalists, some skeptical, some merely curious, gathered in the damp confines of Dr. Clarkson's lab. Emil stood by his machine, his eyes gleaming with a fervor that only true believers possess. He explained the mechanics, a fusion of quantum physics and speculative chronodynamics. Simply put, the machine could intercept fragments of events yet to happen, allowing the listener a peek into tomorrow. As for today, Emil declared, adjusting the dials on the control panel, we shall hear the future. The journalists watched as he placed the headphones over his ears and sat down. After a tense minute of silence, his eyes widened in apparent shock. He quickly composed himself and removed the headphones. "What did you hear, Dr. Clarkson?" a journalist asked eagerly. "Whispers of things to come," Emil replied cryptically, offering no further details. The air was thick with questions as the presentation concluded. As the barrage of inquiries from the journalists grew, Dr. Emil Clarkson remained unmoved, his expression locked in an enigmatic mask of shock. His eyes, once bright with the thrill of discovery, now mirrored a haunting depth of realization, as if the voices from the future had imparted a disturbing prophecy only he could comprehend. He stood utterly still, his hands slightly trembling, betraying the calm demeanor he attempted to project. The room buzzed with the clamor of speculation and the clicking of cameras, yet Emil seemed distant, lost in his own turbulent thoughts. He responded no further, offering no smiles nor nods, merely standing like a statue as the journalists gradually dispersed, leaving him enveloped in the ominous silence that filled the lab long after the echoes of their departure had faded. Days turned into weeks, and Emil listened regularly. At first, the voices from the future were mundane, echoes of news broadcasts, snippets of everyday conversations, laughter, and life. But as he fine-tuned the machine, the nature of the interceptions changed. The voices grew distressed, the ambience turned chaotic. Sounds of sirens, screams, and inexplicable cries filled the headphones. He documented everything, his sleep gradually dwindling as the voices became an obsession. One evening, as thunder rolled ominously in the distance, Emil heard something different, a voice so clear it froze his blood. "Help us, Emil," it pleaded, directly addressing him. "You caused this." Disturbed by what he had heard, Emil embarked on a mission to prevent whatever disaster he was supposedly going to cause. His investigations led him to old contacts in the scientific community, discussions about theoretical risks, and ethical implications of temporal experiments. Everyone he consulted reassured him that his work was harmless, but the voices did not cease their dire warnings. As October bled into a gloomy November, the interceptions became predictions, detailing disasters, fires, storms, accidents, all mysteriously linked back to Emil's ongoing experiments. He grew paranoid, unsure whom to trust, as the line between his research and the resulting chaos blurred. Emil's mental state deteriorated. He became convinced that someone was manipulating his findings, using his machine for nefarious purposes. The lab felt colder, the shadows longer. One night, fueled by desperation and fear, Emil decided to confront the future head-on. He would not just listen, he would send a message back to himself, warning of the first sign of trouble. But as he prepared the machine for what he believed would be his most significant test, the power surged, the lights flickered, and through the crackling energy, Emil heard the future reply, "Too late, too late." The machine exploded in a cascade of sparks and smoke, throwing Emil across the room. As he lay dazed, the lab door creaked open. In the doorway stood a figure, silhouetted against the stormy night. It was Emil, but older, his face gaunt, his eyes hollow. "I tried to stop you," the figure said, stepping closer, the sound of rain mixing with his grave tone. "But every time we intervene, the future fractures further. We only make it worse. Now, it's too late." The older Emil's hands were trembling as he produced a familiar device. It was the Temporal Echo Chamber, only battered and scorched. "This is what remains," he said. "And soon, you'll understand why." As the older Emil vanished as mysteriously as he had appeared, Dr. Clarkson realized the truth. His future self was trapped in a loop, forever trying to fix a fractured timeline that only spiraled into further disaster with each intervention. The machine wasn't just a window into the future, it was a doorway, and he had unwittingly opened it to a nightmare. The rain stopped. The silence was deafening. In the eerie calm, Emil understood that the future was not just calling out to him, it was warning him. He had heard the echoes of tomorrow, and they had spoken of nothing but terror. The machine hummed quietly in the corner, its whispers now silent. But for how long? Emil wondered, staring into the dark, waiting for the echoes to begin anew. Dare to venture into the unknown. Join us on a journey where shadows whisper and secrets lurk. Subscribe now and ring the bell to summon fresh mysteries directly to your screen every few days. Ignore this call, and be warned, an eternal curse awaits those who wander in the dark, unguided. Do you have the courage to face the unknown? Your adventure begins with a click. Welcome to the realm where every notification brings you closer to the abyss. Subscribe, if you dare.